Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hank's Movie Ranks. It's definitely been a while since I posted on the channel, at least in the full-length video content. But we're back, and we're back today because it's the start of a new year. And with that, it's time to rank every single movie that I saw from 2025, every single brand new 2025 release film that I saw in 2025. Um, that ended up being 82 movies. Hopefully next year I can maybe get to around 100 or more because I didn't really start really focusing on trying to watch a ton until around halfway through the year this year. So yeah, I'm kind of just gonna jump right into it because obviously it's gonna be a bit longer video. There's a lot of movies to talk about, so we'll get rolling. I have my letterbox list pulled up here. If you want to follow me at AKHankMC, feel free to do so. There might not be as many reviews I'm putting up early on in the year because I'm kind of catching up on some shows and stuff while I wait for more 2026 movies to come out and whatnot. But there'll be some stuff there. So, but anyway, let's just get on with it. Starting down at the bottom, of course, working all the way up to number one. And in last place, I have A Pickleball Christmas. You can, it's blurry, obviously, because I haven't zoomed in, but you can see the poster there. You can see the title of the movie. Um, then you could probably take a guess of what kind of quality movie we're looking at because of that, and you would be correct. This movie's horrible. The only reason we watched this is because as a family, on Christmas Day, we were scrolling through Amazon Prime and we saw this movie, and I was like, "There's no way that's real, right?" And it's a real movie. I give it that. But my gosh, it's terrible. The acting is obviously horrible. It's like one of those Lifetime movies. I don't know if it was produced by Lifetime, but it's the same vibe. One of those generic Hallmark or Lifetime Christmas movies that stink. Also, this one's barely about Christmas. It's just kind of like a pickleball tournament. Um, and yeah, it's terrible. The acting's awful. Everything about it's bad as you'd expect. I did have a good time and laugh with it because of how awful it was, of course. But yeah, in terms of actual quality, this movie's really bad. Um, but I still had a lot of fun laughing at it with my family, so it was an enjoyable experience. But yeah, last place. Speaking of another one that's terrible, but I had a fun time with, that's this year's War of the Worlds movie with Ice Cube. Um, I mean, if you've seen this movie, you know just how awful it is. Um, it was filmed during COVID times, and for whatever reason, they just never released it until now. So because of that, it's shot all on a screen. It'd basically be like if you watching me now, since I'm doing a screen recording here, this was the movie, you know, which that can work and it can be innovative. Not here, not when it's about aliens attacking the Earth. You kind of want to see that more so as opposed to watching it of someone turning their phone like this on a FaceTime call or him using a security cam to watch them. Oh yeah, the acting's awful here. Ice Cube. I saw a comment about it how every line read by Ice Cube in this is like he's reading the script for the first time, and that's kind of true, and it's pretty funny. But I had a good time. If I had $1 for every time Ice Cube went in this movie and like had a shocked reaction by taking his glasses off, I'd I'd be a millionaire maybe. I mean, it was quite incredible how awful this was. I had a great time just because laughing at the terribleness of this movie. But yeah. Talking about one that I don't really just care about much at all in the Lost Lands. This movie's hideous to look at. I don't really know what the budget was, but my God, I hope it wasn't high. It's Dave Bautista, who, man, what are we doing? I thought he's like the best actor of all like the wrestlers turned actors in my opinion. So, brother, what are we doing here? But yeah, this movie's awful. The script is really bad. The visual effects just look hideous. Oh my Lord. I think in my review, I said that it looks like you're looking at the movie through a microwave because everything's just so tinted like weird, ugly orange the whole time. It's just so colored so bad. The plot's just awful, and the characters are all super lame. Do not watch this. Not a great time. Moving on to Play Dirty. This one's one that people maybe would like more. I just really hated this whole time. Like I like Mark Wahlberg and a lot of stuff, and Lakeith Stanfield's in this too, and he's really good, especially like Judas and the Black Messiah and some other projects. everyone just felt like they were really phoning it in here on this, and I just did not have a fun time. Some of the random visuals, like there's a train crash sequence that looks horrid. I was like, what is going on? Um, and yeah, I mean, there's some bad Mark Wahlberg movies this year, and we'll get to another one. But at least in the other one, I thought he was like given a fun performance despite how bad the movie was. This one was just everyone seemed so uninterested making this. The visuals are bad. I just didn't care about the story either. Some people might have this one a tad higher, but I just really hated it. Up next, we have Love Hurts. This stars Ke Huy Quan, which another guy who I love him, especially in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So happy he won the award for that year. What are we doing in this movie, man? This movie's terrible. He's the only reason that it's up to 1.5 as opposed to 1 or 1/2. The plot really generic. The action not that interesting, not that cool. The love interest of him and Ariana DeBose, I don't really buy that much. Um, and then just yeah, like I said, the other plot stuff here with like his brother being a crime lord or whatever it was. I had watched this one a while ago and it has not stuck with me at all for good reason. But yeah, man, can we give Ke Huy Quan another good role, please? Not force him to do this stuff. This just feels mean. Moving on, The Last Rodeo. This is one of those Angel Studio movies where like their message is fine, they're Jesus-y movies. I went to a Catholic school when I was younger, so I'm fine with that. The problem is they're always just boring movies and they're shoehorning in kind of like the faith aspects and stuff, which again, while it can be a fine message, it doesn't necessarily make for a good movie. And in this one, I thought was just especially boring. Um, so yeah, just not really that interesting of a time. Again, fine movie, inoffensive, but also just not very engaging and pretty boring. So speaking of Ke Huy Quan, he's back. Stop giving him bad roles. Or what is his agent? Why are we signing these roles? This movie sucks. This is like one of the most expensive movies ever. Directed by the Russo brothers, who please stick to Marvel, guys. You make some of the best Marvel projects, but anytime you go outside of it, yikes. So let's just stick with that. That seems to be a pairing that works, and we can please everybody. But anyway, speaking of Marvel people, Chris Pratt's in this. He's like fine, but again, I feel like a lot of people in this aren't really doing much. The cast is insane. It's him, Millie Bobby Brown, Giancarlo Esposito, Stanley Tucci, Ke Huy Quan, like Woody Harrelson, I think it was, is voicing Mr. Peanut, literally an animatronic Mr. Peanut. Why is Mr. Peanut like the fifth highest or fifth most important character in this movie? Like, what are we? I don't. Anyway, plot's really dumb. Some of the visuals are cool. That's kind of why it's at 1.5. I think the animatronics and the visual effects of those actually kind of interesting. That's fun. But no one's really giving a good performance here, despite having some pretty high talented actors. But it's like, why would they try in a movie like this? Also, why does this movie cost like $400 million to be just full? Anyway, moving on. Oh, Happy Gilmore 2. This is a fun one. Not really, actually, but so I will say it did what it tried to at points. It's just trying to be a dumb, fun Adam Sandler movie, like a lot of them are. The first Happy Gilmore is great. I love that movie. This one, not so much. This one was like it had some of the fun moments that you got from the first, but then 90% of the time, it's just like all the plot was or all the jokes were was, hey, look at this celebrity we have. And some people love the cameos, and like I'm okay with them. Like people, oh, you don't like the golfer cameo? No, have as many PGA Tour pros as you want in this movie. Scotty Scheffler, some of the best deliveries in the movie, honestly. Have as many of those guys. Why is Guy Fieri here? Why is Reggie Bush here? Why are Margaret Qualley and Eric Andre here? Like just no point for half of these celebrities to be in this movie other than like, oh no way. Host Malone's commentating with Vern Lundquist on the golf broadcast. What? Um, and I thought this movie could have been really good if it was just focused on his comeback to golf. But instead, we kind of speed run his comeback in that first tournament and him placing highly to do this maxi golf league thing. And I know they're probably joking about and riffing off Live Golf. But like, what are we doing? That plot was so stupid and so boring, and I did not care. If we could have focused on the comeback of Happy more so, I thought this could have been a really fun, good comedy movie like the original one. Instead, we basically have a feature-length Super Bowl commercial with all the cameos and stupid plot lines and whatnot. So, oh, I want to not talk about every movie for as long as I have so far, but my God, I hate this Lilo and Stitch remake. The original animated movie is one of my favorite animated movies, and that's more so why this one pisses me off. Like, obviously, the story itself is good because it's just Lilo and Stitch. But what are you bringing to the table that is new here? And there is another live action remake we'll get to later that maybe I'm being hypocritical here, but it's just this one, it's like there's not as many cool things to adapt into a live action other than like the aliens at the start. And they do an okay job with that, but then it's like after that, it's just we're just in Hawaii. And as opposed to it being this cool looking animation of Hawaii, it's just Hawaii. Again, beautiful state and islands and everything, but like it's just we're just shooting Hawaii. We're not doing anything cool with the animation here. And then Stitch obviously is like animated, but I don't know. I have a very long review of it on Letterboxd where I was just pissed off about why does this exist other than stuff Disney's pocketbooks. I really hate these remakes, and I think I maybe hated this one more just because it's a remake of one of my original favorites. So anyway, Flight Risk. There's the other Mark Wahlberg movie. This one's also really bad, really dumb. The plot's dumb. How is Mel Gibson directing this? What is happening? Well, at least with this one, I feel like Wahlberg was enjoying himself. Like he was kind of having a fun time, just being this psychotic freak. Um, really dumb plot, confined to the plane, and movies like that where it's confined to one area at work. This one, it wasn't interesting enough to do that, in my opinion. But at least Mark Wahlberg was having a little more of a fun time here as opposed to play dirty. After The Hunt was a disappointing one. This is Luca Guadagnino, who I haven't seen either Challengers or Queer from last year, but people love both of those movies. And a lot of people have enjoyed his work. And with this cast and everything that was happening, it really seemed like this could be an Oscar player. No. This movie, like, I don't like calling things pretentious just because it's like, oh, that seems sometimes to be like a thing people just say, like Oscar bait or being pretentious. People say that when they don't like a movie, but they don't really want to think of a different reason to like describe why they don't like it. This one, though, I feel like does fit that bill because it's trying to it has an important topic at hand here, but it's really not handling it all that well, I don't think. I think it's trying to be like too direct and be like, oh, this is how it should be. And like, I don't know, just a little too preachy in my mind. The acting's good here, but I don't know, I just really didn't think the story came together, especially in the second half, I think it really falls apart in terms of like what's going on, like some of the decisions they made. And also the score for this movie was just grating on the ears. I don't know what they were doing with that. I hated the score in this. So yeah, uh, not for me. Not a fan. Mountainhead, this one hurt bad. I love Succession. That's my favorite show of all time. So when the creator was making a movie, I'm like, oh, okay, I might like this. Doesn't work as well. I think what makes Succession so great is obviously the writing of it is all so fantastic. But you get segments of time with characters, and it's not just 2 hours straight with the same group, where, the characters in Succession aren't likable, but it's like everyone's unlikable, so that you kind of like and still enjoy seeing them all go head to head. And when you get them in those short bursts, it's fun. When it's four unlikable characters for like 2 hours straight, it's not as enjoyable, doesn't hit as hard, and I just don't think everything it works nearly as well as I hoped it was going to. Regretting You, is Colleen Hoover insane? Is she okay? Can we check on her mentally? What is wrong with this woman? The plot of this is nuts. Oh, you're a high school senior, and your aunt and your father die in a car crash because it turns out they were actually having an affair. So now your mom and uncle, who are still alive, who actually have been the ones who loved each other the whole time and didn't actually love their partners, now they're going to get together. What is going on? Colleen Hoover, you're a psychopath. someone check on her, please. Um, and overall, I mean, plot's just so insane that I like couldn't really get into it. Well, fine acting, and everything. I don't know. It's just the plot's nuts, and it wasn't for me. Him, another big disappointment. Um, very misleading marketing in this, putting Jordan Peele's name all over it. Not a Jordan Peele directed movie. It shows. Excuse me. It shows. Um, nowhere near as good as Get Out, which is a movie I think is fantastic. Um, and or either of his other projects. And this one, I don't know, I just got so convoluted trying to do weird metaphor things. Like I love football. Sports and movies are like my two favorite things to follow by far, bar none. Um, and so putting them together into a horror movie nonetheless seemed very interesting, really fun. I think the acting's good. Tyreek Withers and Marlon Wayans especially having a good time here. But plot's just I don't know. It's kind of nonsense. I didn't really mess with it. It was just a really messy movie. Style over substance applies very well to that movie. Some of the stuff looked really cool. I didn't really think it had any juice. Very Jonas Christmas movie. This is kind of funny just looking at it. Some of these like more real movies. This movie is basically just uh, background fodder to put on during Christmas time with your family, and also more so, it's basically just a Jonas Brothers Christmas album packaged as a movie. And while as a movie, it's worse than some of the things that might have been below it there. I enjoy this movie as a essentially Jonas Brothers album, elongated over a average movie, more than those other movies that were trying to be more and just didn't hit. So I don't know, it's not actually like a great movie, but music's fun and you just get to see the Jonas Brothers hang out. And I mean that's really all you need in this movie. So but anyway. Captain America Brave New World, the first of three Marvel movies from this year on this list, and the worst pretty easily. Um, this one was a real disappointment because I think the main characters here all have some pretty good chemistry and are very likable with Isaiah Joaquin and of course our Falcon and new Captain America, Sam Wilson. I think they all have really good dynamic together, but the writing of this and the plot of it all is just really messy, and waste all three of those talents, as well as Harrison Ford and Giancarlo Esposito. Everyone just feels kind of wasted here. So had a lot more potential, but just didn't really pan out. Eden, I think, is a movie where it took everything, threw it at the wall, or just kind of saw what stuck. Some of it works, some of it not so much. Sydney Sweeney, Ana de Armas, Vanessa Kirby, Daniel Bruhl, and Jude Law. Pretty good cast. Um, they're entertaining in points, but other times it was just kind of like this feels drawn out. This doesn't really matter. So kind of just right down the middle for me. Dead of Winter, both of these movies here on screen were ones that were Mystery Movie Monday picks that I got to go see. Dead of Winter, it's like a fine thriller with Emma Thompson, I believe was her name, um, as the like lead actress here, kind of trying to save a kidnapped girl. And interesting enough for that dynamic, but just kind of a generic thriller. Woman in Cabin 10, again, kind of just a generic mystery movie. I thought it was like entertaining enough where some of the performances were solid enough that I was entertained throughout, but nothing special. And the mystery's not really all that crazy interesting. And then all the things that kind of happen at the end, and you're like, oh, okay, sure, but it's it's not some crazy reveal that really blows you away or anything. Now you see me, now you don't. The third Now You See Me movie. One that people will have higher, like it is a fun time. It's just a bunch of actors kind of just doing their thing, just having a fun time together. But these movies are really, really dumb. To cite a classic YouTube video, are they magicians or are they wizards? Some of the stuff you see, it's like, what? Some of the tricks, it's so convoluted. You're like, how are we doing this? Um, and also they have Rosamund Pike doing just an absurd accent in this movie that took me out of it every time she talked, which That's nothing against her. I don't know why they chose to let her roll with that accent. She's a great actress, but yeah, I don't know. Really dumb movie, but fun in points. So again, kind of right down the middle. And of the two movies that have their climactic ending scene take place at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix Yas Marina Circuit, this is the second place one. We'll get to the other one much later. Playdate. Kevin James, Alan Richardson as dads, um, that get kind of chased down by the government with their kids. Really, I mean, it's a throwaway Amazon Prime streaming movie, but I have it up a little higher just because I had a really fun time with Kevin James and Alan Richardson. I thought their dynamic here worked pretty well. And it was just a fun enough time to get some laughs out of me, but I just did, generic anniversary. I watched this one fairly recently towards the end of the year. It had potential to be a lot cooler. I don't know, kind of just bland, I thought. Um, Looking at this family kind of falling apart politically. Um, I'm not a very political person. I don't care that much. And this one I thought did a fine job with that because I don't think it really targets either side very much. It's kind of more so like a what if a brand new single party came down the middle and just took over the whole country? That's interesting, but I don't know if it was executed all that perfectly. So kind of whatever. A Minecraft movie. One of the first ones I got to see in theater this year, and that's fun. That was fun because you got the people cheering at the chicken jockey, and I am Steve, and like, yeah, that's a fun time. It's just funny. Um, like the actual craft of this movie, not good. Obviously, it's the Minecraft movie, but like they're making a Minecraft movie, and they just made it with references to people, and it's a fun time for what it is. Um, to to reenact what one of my roommates did after we saw this movie. Absolute cinema. But yeah, I mean, it's the Minecraft movie. It's not like some highbrow film, but it was a really fun time, especially in theaters. Moving up to 3 stars, we got The Amateur. Kind of just a whatever throwaway thriller movie with Rami Malek, a revenge thriller. It's like a fun time. It wouldn't be my first recommendation for anyone from this year, but it's a solid kind of 2 hours to pass. The House of Dynamite, cinematic blue balls, the movie. First 40 minutes of this or whatever it is with Rebecca Ferguson's character. It's fantastic where they're setting up what are they going to do with this nuke and being sent at the US and how do we react to this and what in the situation, what's the deal with that? Really interesting. Right as it's about to hit, it cuts to a new character and it resets the day. Okay, I don't love that. Win me back. They don't. And then they get to where there's about to be impact again after the second story. They go to the third story and reset the day again. And, it just never really finishes off the story at the end. Spoilers if you haven't seen House of Dynamite yet, they don't show what actually happens. If the new kids, what the reaction to it is, it's implied kind of what happens, but they don't show anything. Is it a better movie if they show it? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the fear of not knowing is what she's going for. Probably is. But it's the building momentum, halting it, pulling it back, doing it again, halting it, pulling it back. That I just can't get there with this movie. So, Smashing Machine, a very good performance by The Rock as UFC legend Mark Kerr. That being said, it feels a little after kind of the opening where you see him starting to come up, where I was pretty interested by. I love sports, as I mentioned. The sports movies are a lot of fun for me. I don't know much about Mark Kerr. I watched the UFC a decent amount, but I don't know much about Mark Kerr because obviously that was a time kind of before I was even born when the UFC was starting up. And problem with this one is after a while it kind of just devolves into scene after scene where it's him and Emily Blunt as his wife arguing and then kind of making up at the end of the argument and then it kind of repeats. And I thought it just kind of repetitive, lost a little bit of the kind of interest of him building up to trying to be a UFC champion to focus on other areas. which are important in his life, but just didn't really work as well as a movie. Jurassic World Rebirth, um, it's not that good of a movie, but I would be lying to you if I said my little caveman brain isn't a sucker for seeing some cool dinosaur stuff. So honestly, that's just why it's up at a 3 star at all. Also, Scarlett Johansson yells out my name in this movie because it's the name of one of the other characters, so bonus points for that. Anyway, all of you, a fun little rom-com with some weird, I guess, messaging and like decisions of where they're kind of basically they're cheating. Um, so a little weird, but still fun. I enjoyed it more in the moment right after seeing it, but as I was going through the list, I was like, yeah, I really this one didn't really stay with me at all for anything. So because of that, I moved it down a bit. So it's here. In Your Dreams, Netflix animated movie. Uh, as I say in my review on Letterboxd for this movie, one of the movies of all time. Not one of the best, not one of the worst, just one of. It's a perfectly fine kids animated movie. It's a fun time, and kids probably will enjoy it. Um, but it's nowhere near the works of like, the top end of Pixar and stuff like that. So just a solid animated movie. Dust Bunny. What on earth is this movie? Complimentary? I don't know. Um, insane movie about basically the monsters under your bed and how are they real? And in this case, yes, they were. Mads Mikkelsen giving a fun kind of psycho performance, um, and like a interesting enough time, a fun time, but nothing that really blew me away. You know what I mean? The Mastermind, directed by Kelly Reichardt. This is some people's like top five favorite movie of the year. If you really like the more slow burn, um, not a whole lot like happening, but you're kind of just living with the vibe and getting to see things happen slowly, excuse me, in real time, you're gonna love this. Um, for me, I didn't need like a 10-minute scene of Josh O'Connor carrying up a like storage case into a treehouse and leaving it there, or into the top deck of a shed and leaving it there. I didn't need that to be 10 minutes long, you know what I mean? So some of it just felt a little drawn out to me. That being said, the performances are still good. I like some of the ideas of the story, and also we're buying a lot of Josh O'Connor stock over here at Hank's Movie Rents. He is great, especially in another movie we'll get to higher up as well. So I got stock in him, and he's gonna be in the Spielberg movie next year. I'm all in. 51, Novocaine. Um, Jack Quaid in this movie as mm, Nathan, maybe whatever his first name is, but last name Kane in this. Probably should check that, but whatever. If you've seen the movie, you've seen it. Where he can't feel any pain, and I don't know, it's a fun time. It's just like kind of your generic action, revenge thriller. I mentioned that earlier with The Amateur. This one I think is more fun and more interesting concept. So for me, it's a couple spots higher. Eddington, a very divisive one. Some people probably have this in their bottom five and hate it. Some people have this in their top five and love it. I know. For me, again, not a very political guy, so politics of this don't like make it divisive for me one way or another. I found it kind of interesting, kind of long in spots. Some areas I was like, okay, I don't really see what we're going for here. Others I was like, okay, that worked really well. Mind you, all of that sounds like a kind of right down the middle movie. That's about what I felt for it. Some stuff worked really well. I thought was really kind of insightful to our current times. Looking at how people reacted to COVID, because I mean, people we know that was an insane time in our world. So seeing kind of the extreme reactions on both sides from that is interesting in movie form, but for me, it wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything terrible. It's right down the middle. 49, Heads of State. This is another one of those ones where, like, objectively looking at these two movies on screen, Eddington is the better made movie with a more interesting vision. For me, though, Heads of State was just, Idris Elba and John Cena as the president and the prime minister who have been like captured or attacked, and they're just having a good time. Some good comedy, some good action. It's a fun, enjoyable experience. Um, and it's not trying to be anything crazy. It's just delivering a fun little action movie for me that works. Um, and that's, like why, for example, I have it ahead of Eddington. Eddington, some stuff doesn't really work, some stuff really works, but for me, it just kind of all evens out to be right in the middle. Heads of State, it's not trying to be anything crazy, just trying to be right down the middle, but it works for that and does that pretty effectively, so I have it a little higher. The Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere movie. Jeremy Allen White's really great in this as Bruce Springsteen. Um, I am a sucker for good music in movies. You'll probably see that as this list continues. So while they don't, I don't know a ton about the Bruce Springsteen story of like him himself. And like I obviously know some of his songs, but I don't know like a ton about his life or anything. So maybe I don't know if that helps or hurts you going in this movie if you know more about Springsteen. Because if you know more, you might be like, oh, well, they didn't do this justice or they didn't make it as interesting as you could have been. For me, not knowing much, I was like, okay, this was a little fun time. Got to know more about him and got some good music with it and good performance. So it worked well enough for me. Ballad of a Small Player. This is another one of those ones where the style over substance thing could come into play. Edward Berger directing Conclave, the most recent All Quiet movie. So Colin Farrell starring in this. Really interesting. Um, Plot is just kind of whatever. It doesn't really find its footing. It's a little messy, I think. But this movie looks stunning. A lot of the shots look really cool in this. I really enjoy some of the scenes of him playing cards. Uh, Edward Berger does a really great job of directing those scenes to make it look super interesting. So a fun time, an interesting time. But the plot itself is nothing really to write home about. Highest to lowest from Spike Lee. Another one of those ones. Probably gets bumped a bit just because of the music and especially the rap battle scene between ASAP Rocky and Denzel Washington. Honestly, probably added an extra half star to the movie rating for me. But it's an interesting time, the remake of High and Low. Um, and cool performances. Denzel's always great. And I enjoy some of the music aspects of this. Like I said, the rap battle especially. Interesting enough plot. It'll keep you engaged throughout, but nothing really groundbreaking. Life of Chuck, the third to last one I watched of the year, I believe. Um, Told in a reverse chronological timeline of starting in where Chuck's about to die, going into kind of a middle-aged, or I think it's like 9 years before he passed, or no, only 9 months before he died, right? I don't remember, but a time a little bit before he passes away, and then goes back to his childhood. And uh, it was okay for me. The first like part of it, I didn't find super engaging, where it's following the other characters as the world's coming to an end. I didn't really vibe with that. And the second one, where we kind of like meet him and get the cool dance sequence with him kind of discovering his joy of life. That was a little more interesting. And then the one with him as a kid is definitely, I think, the most effective of the three acts. And I enjoy that one. Again, the structure of it's kind of weird with it all being broken up, but it's interesting enough. It was a good time, good emotional time, and kind of again, solid 3 stars. Here it is, Avatar: Fire and Ash. Um, I don't love these movies. I respect them for what they are, which is a technical marvel. Obviously, James Cameron is a fantastic director when it comes to creating these worlds. That is the best part of these movies. It's just Pandora and the world that it is. That's why something like Pandora World at Disney World or the, Flight Pandora's Flight ride, where it just takes you through like you're on one of the Banshee things. That's super awesome. In terms of as a movie, I like living in the world and seeing the stuff. It only can carry me so far, especially when this movie is 3 hours and 15 minutes long, and I don't really care about any of the characters. I'm just gonna be honest. I've never found these characters that interesting. That's why I don't really love the franchise. Because like I said, the visuals and everything can only carry you so far. I have to be invested in the story a little bit. I'm not with these, and while I liked Way of Water a decent amount, gave that one 4 stars. I bumped this one down because a lot of the stuff in this feels very derivative and repetitive from the second movie. I know some people say, oh, it's a continuation. It was written as two movies originally. So then was the original movie just going to have two scenes that they were the exact same in it? Especially the final battle is basically just a rehash of the second one. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just the originality of the world itself is cool. The originality of the storytelling does not work for me at all. I don't care about any of the characters. So for me, 3 stars. Moving on. This was what I was talking about, where maybe I was being hypocritical, hating on the Lilo and Stitch one so much, because I had a fun time with How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake. Now, the reasoning is A, it's the same director in this one, so it feels like it wasn't as much of a just money grab from the company. He wanted to bring this creation of his to live action and do it right. That works. I'm cool with that. Immediately, that feels more valid to me. And also, again, caveman brain, dragons are sick. So that being in live action, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? So with all that, that it's basically a beat for beat remake of the original How to Train Your Dragon, which is a great movie, maybe a 5 star movie. So obviously that works. The music's still the same, which is maybe one of the best movie scores ever. So yeah, uh, but I'm docking a couple points just because, like, it's a live action, not as movie that's not filled with as much heart as the original. Blue. This, this was one of the 3 movies I saw on Christmas with my family. It was this one leading into our second movie, which we will get to very high on the list. And then we capped the night off at home with Pickleball Christmas. So we got all aspects of it. This one literally right in the middle of 82, basically. The other one right at the end. The other one, you'll see. Uh, Song Song Blue I thought was a really interesting time about not Neil Diamond, but Neil Diamond impersonators and a biopic about them. I think Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman give some very great performances here. I thought there were a lot of very emotional moments. My mom was crying in the theater next to me. That means anything to you. And the music I thought was pretty good. Again, if there's good music in a movie, it'll get a bit of a bump from me. The only thing is, it just the tone of this shifts around a lot. Granted, that's in part because the real life stories of these people were kind of insane and shifted around a lot totally. Um, but because of that, the movie kind of gets clogged up in that totally as well. So it doesn't fully work in moments, but overall, I thought it was fun. All right, now that we're at the halfway point, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna cough in a bit, as you can tell. Get a drink of water. Make sure my recording for this half is all good, and I will catch you guys on number 41. Moving on to number 41, we have Elio, Pixar. Pixar is probably my favorite movie company. I love Pixar movies so much. I have on my letterbox, I have one of my 4 favorites dedicated to being my favorite animated film. Right now, I put The Incredibles. Goes back and forth between them and Monsters Inc. Both Pixar movies. Um, love Pixar. I thought this had a lot of the Pixar charm, and but also was trying to really go for it with the emotional moments and that Pixar charm, like I mentioned. So I don't think it reached the full heights that I was looking for, but I still think it was very solid, very entertaining, and it takes a lot for me to dislike a Pixar movie. So 40, Predator Killer of Killers. This is the animated kind of anthology Predator movie that came out this year. Just a good fun time. Three interesting little stories that intersect at the end. Some really cool animation. I'm not super like tied to the Predator franchise. We'll see that in a bit with another movie here. Um, so whether diehard fans of it love this or not, I don't really know. But I enjoyed it for what it was and thought it was a pretty good time. The Roses, Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman in a remake of The War of the Roses, I believe it was the original. Um, and I thought this was pretty fun. Some snappy dialogue of them arguing, going back and forth. Two really good performances. A fun little kind of divorce, but breaking up and just fighting with each other movie. That was interesting seeing them try to, pull off these hijinks and shenanigans at each other. And yeah, I don't think it works as well if you don't have two performances that are working as well as these two do, but they do a good job. So this movie works. Mickey 17, Bong Joon-ho's follow-up to Parasite, one of my favorite movies, and the Best Picture winner. And I think this is fun. Not obviously not as good as Parasite, but a very interesting and fun movie with the fun performance from Robert Pattinson, obviously playing dual roles. We had a lot of that this year. But anyway, um, the only thing is, I just this is one where I thought the like I guess political undertones with like Mark Ruffalo's character as the leader of the ship and stuff, were like a little too on the nose and a little too overblown. And again, like for me, not caring that much about like political stuff like that in movies. Um, I just don't like it when it's like, you know, beat your head over, beat you over the head with it, with, its messaging and stuff. And not at points, this one did. But overall, some cool visual effects, some really fun performances, and an entertaining time. This is the other Predator movie I talked about, Predator Badlands. I know some people who are like real fans of the series have the complaints that it's kind of like the Disney-fication of Predator Badlands. So it kind of feels like a Marvel movie, buddy cop movie, whatever. Um, for me, that's perfectly fine because I don't have any real tie to the Predator franchise as a fan. A lot of the movies came out before I was born, and so I thought this was a fun time. And while some people, especially hardcore fans of the series, might not love it as much, I had a good time. I thought it was a fun action movie with some cool kind of designs and set pieces of the monsters and the world. Wicked for good. A bit of a disappointment. I really wish that this one could be a lot higher. I really loved the first one. Um, this one's just not as good. I know I had heard many people had said that the Act Two of the Broadway show itself is a lot weaker than the first act, and unfortunately, it seems like that was just kind of an unavoidable thing when it came to the movies as well. The first one is a really great time, a lot more fun, and this one just isn't as entertaining. The performances might be better in this one, especially from Grande at least. I guess maybe not for Revo, just because she has more to do in the first one compared to this act. Um, but I think overall the performances maybe are better, but the songs aren't quite as catchy. And overall just the story is not as engaging. But so I'm very unfortunate that I had to put this one as low as it is. I wish it could have been way higher because I loved the first, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have it right here. 28 years later was one that I thought was really entertaining. One where I don't have much tie to the 28 franchise. I guess that's what we're calling it with days and weeks and now years later. But a good enough movie, little zombie movie, kind of post-apocalyptic thing where I was entertained enough and interested enough for sure that I am interested to go see 28 years later, The Bone Temple early on in the 2026 year. So that it did its job there. Final Destination Bloodlines. Another one where I don't really have any history with the franchise of Final Destination. I maybe seen one of them, and so I don't really know much of the lore behind it. I actually watched a video before seeing this one, but so at least I knew that much. But I thought this was a really fun time. I thought this one worked really well for what it was trying to be, and which is just showing some really cool and funny and interesting kills, and being a kind of interesting action thriller with that. And on those lines, it works perfectly fine. So I enjoyed this one quite a bit. Fantastic Four, First Steps, probably the best looking Marvel movie in terms of its like set design and the world building, just because since it's on a different Earth, that's more kind of retro futuristic, despite those being complete opposites. It's more of a 1960s vibe, but futuristic. And I thought that looked really cool in this movie. I think that the villain here, Galactus, worked pretty well. There's some of the visual effects stuff that doesn't quite work that well. They seem a little rushed in certain areas, but I really enjoyed the family dynamic between the main characters, and I'm really excited to see these characters continue in the MCU. Moving up to the 4 stars, I have Roofman. I thought Roofman was just a really fun time. Kind of one of those stories where you're like, some of this stuff seems really nonsensical in the plot, but it's based off a true story. So it's like, oh, okay, well then just gonna have to roll with it then, because if that's the case, and yeah, I thought Channing Tatum was really kind of charismatic, good lead performance here. Everyone else around him was pretty solid. So I thought it was an interesting story and had a fun time with it. Friendship, kind of just a oddball movie here. If you don't like Tim Robinson, you're probably not gonna enjoy this one as much, just because it's that kind of goofy, weird humor. But for me, I enjoy it. While I don't really watch his shows much, I do enjoy when I see the clips of them. I think they're pretty hilarious and stuff. So this one worked for me. I thought it was a really fun time. And yeah, Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson in this are really great, both in their lead dynamics here. So I thought it was a really fun time, really interesting movie, and uh, and yeah, nothing like kind of groundbreaking. I'm not gonna put it up to 5 star, but a really entertaining and fun movie. The Running Man, one that I'm probably a little higher on than consensus. I just really enjoyed this. I thought it was a fun time. I definitely can agree that it maybe gets bogged down a bit in towards the end as the movie kind of slows down. You know, the Running Man movie slowing down in its pace a bit. Maybe it doesn't mesh super well, but I really enjoyed Glenn Powell's performance here. I think it shows that he can be kind of a lead star, and I enjoyed the action and just kind of the excitement of this movie, I would say. 29, I have Materialists. I really like Celine Song's writing. I think her scripts are really good. Past Lives, Best Picture nominee from a couple years ago, was fantastic. This one, not quite as good, but I still enjoyed quite a bit. I think our performers here all gave pretty good roles, and I just kind of enjoyed I don't know if it's, I'd say rom-com, the romantic drama of this one, but yeah, I enjoyed this one. Rental Family is one that maybe I have too high from just it kind of just pulling on your heartstrings in this one. It's a very emotional movie. But you know what? I'm a sucker for it. Got me with the schmaltz on this one. So I enjoyed this. I enjoyed Brendan Fraser's performance a lot in this. I think the child actress gave a good performance alongside him. So I thought it was a fun time, really heartwarming movie. So solid one there. The threesome. This was the second of the Mystery Monday movies that I saw this year. And this one's funny to me because it's, you know, you get the opening scenes of them kind of all meeting, and then the the titular scene starts to kind of get going, and it cuts to the title card, the threesome, and I saw so many people walk out of that theater. I don't know, I just thought that was really funny, and honestly, they missed a pretty good one. I think this was a really fun rom-com with kind of just an absurd situation what happens from this titular threesome with our main characters here, how they have to now navigate that. And I think it actually proposes some interesting choices for the characters that make them have to make tough decisions while, you know, still trying to be greedy and selfish in certain areas. So I think it was kind of a pretty good look at an absurd scenario, a realistic way that some people would have to go about this. 26, I have Mission Impossible, what is rumored to be the final one, and probably will be. Just Tom Cruise is starting to get up there a bit with the Final Reckoning. This one, if you want the most interesting and uh, clean cut, concise storyline, this is not that. Um, but if you want to go to Mission Impossible to see Tom Cruise dangle off of an airplane and have a entertaining spy movie with some messy plot points while you have some great action set pieces. Voila, there you go. This is what this movie is. And for me, that works. It was really fun. Also, Tremel Tillman popping in for a couple minutes and just oozing aura on the screen. That guy's awesome. I love him in Severance, and I hope he gets more awesome movie roles. Warfare. This is the final movie that I watched before putting the list together. This one, just a brutal depiction of war. Not very long, only I think about an hour and a half, but it really immerses you in it because it's shot um, to be in real time. The sound design in this is fantastic. The performances are very good, and I think it just gives a very interesting and thoughtful look at. Obviously, if you've never been in war and you hear these stories, you're like, oh, okay. Like you can't really fully immerse yourself into it. And I think this movie does a great job of making you feel like you are in the situation, seeing this and just how brutal it is. So I thought it was a great depiction of war, and people who know even more about it might enjoy this even more than I do. Number 24, I have Long Walk, Stephen King adaptation. I thought this one was just a good time. I don't know, would you consider this a horror? I don't think so, but more of just a thriller. Um, the best part of this one is Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson as the lead actors here. I think they both are going to have great careers. They're both very good. And the thing with this is, while this one, I mean, not to tie it back to flight risk really, but how it's in one specific area. With flight risk, it's just in the plane, long walk. You're moving different areas, but you're on the road the whole time. And the way this one succeeds, where flight risk doesn't as much, is the characters here are very interesting, and you get a lot more invested in them and their well-being and what's going to happen with them. So I enjoyed this one. 23, Companion. Companion is the other Jack Quaid movie on this list. I thought this was a very interesting one about kind of a companion, the companion bots and how they would react finding out that they're actually a robot, and just kind of the thriller aspects and stuff in this are very good. Jack Quaid does a really good job of being very punchable in this movie, which is good on him because that's what the role entails. And I also think Sophie Thatcher, sorry, gives a very good performance as our lead in this movie, and she is a pretty good actress. She might have a career. I hadn't heard of her much before this one. 22, The Naked Gun. Um, I mean, it's just a dumb fun time. What do you expect? Um, it's just good stuff. It's obviously a lot of like fourth wall breaking, poking fun at the camera and saying like, "Oh, hey, you guys see this? Do you remember this reference?" And but it was hilarious the whole way through, and just a really good time with all the jokes. I mean, the commitment to this movie, having a joke pop up on screen every like 30 seconds is incredible, and I respect it for that. And I had a lot of fun with it because of that. Just outside the top 20, I'm going to go with Train Dreams. Train Dreams is a very beautifully shot film. It just won cinematography at the Critics' Choice yesterday as I'm recording this. Well deserved. The music and the sound in this is all really good. The only reason it bumps down a bit for me is it's a movie that has a narrator over all of it. And I don't really love when there's narrators um, over movies. So because of that, I didn't love this. Oh, that was another thing I forgot to mention with Life of Chuck, of why I had it a lot lower. The narration in Life of Chuck. completely took me out of it. Not a fan. So this one, not nearly as bad, but still, I don't enjoy narration in movies a ton. So it took a little bit away from it for me. But again, beautiful looking movie, great acting in this, a very introspective look at life. So great movie, definitely recommend. This narrator brings it down to 10. At 20, I have Jake Kelly, another Netflix original film, like Train Dreams. Enjoyed this one. Again, kind of like a look at someone's life and the decisions they've made and where they are. And I think Adam Sandler gives a fantastic performance in this in a dramatic role, which we know he can do, obviously. And I think George Clooney's pretty fun in this as well. I don't think it's like groundbreaking by any means, but I really love Noah Baumbach's scripts. Marriage Story is one of my favorites. So a lot of the dialogue here works for me well. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but a really entertaining time with some good performances and a good introspective look at life. And I really enjoyed the ending of it. So number 19, I think, is the best Marvel movie that came out this year. Thunderbolts. I thought Thunderbolts was I enjoy like the kind of the found family team up movies. Guardians of the Galaxy, it's my favorite for Marvel. Their whole group of characters as a whole. And Thunderbolts is kind of similar in that where it's this kind of ragtag group of characters coming together. I also thought it looked at some more interesting um, things than normal Marvel movies, like looking at kind of grief and depression with like characters like Yelena, which obviously when you think of MCU stuff, that's not everywhere you're going to think about. So I think some of those interesting themes were worked a lot better for this more kind of grounded group of characters that aren't as superpowered as some of our other ones that we see. Like there's no God of Thunder in this group; they're a lot more kind of tame. So seeing them deal with more everyday things, I thought was really interesting and well done. Number 18, I've got Ceiling. Austin Butler, certified movie star, in my opinion. I think this movie was really great. Just the kind of thriller crime aspects of it all worked really well for me. And like I said, at the central part of this is Austin Butler's performance all the way through, and I really had thought he did a great job with this, so I had a great time with this movie. 17, Black Bag, little spy thriller. Um, I thought it worked really well from Steven Soderbergh. Performances in this, Blanchett, Fassbender, great actors. So what do you expect? They did a fantastic job here. I thought this was a pretty interesting one. Some of the stuff in terms of like the twists and turns at the end didn't work as well for me, so that's why it's just only at a 4 as opposed to being even higher. But really good, interesting spy thriller that I enjoyed quite a bit. 16, Begonia, wild, wild movie, but fantastic performances. I wish Jesse Plemons was getting more love in terms of the Oscar race this year because I think he is a fantastic job. Emma Stone, shocker. She gives a great performance. I know that's amazing to hear Emma Stone of all people. But no, she's obviously a great actress and does it really well here. And I thought this was a very interesting um, movie with the kind of conspiracy stuff that it's exploring and how some people just kind of go crazy over that stuff. But in the end, actually, spoiler alert for Begonia, his character is right to actually, and she is an alien. The twist and turn it takes at the end there. Some people at the end are going to be like, what the hell just happened? I kind of was too. But that being said, in a way that works for me. So I enjoyed it. 15, Twinless. I really enjoyed the twist in this. I didn't really see it coming. And I think that Dylan O'Brien and I'm sorry, I forget the other guy's name, and I don't want to click away to look it up, but they both give really good performances. Another dual role for in the movie this year, Dylan O'Brien playing the two twins. And yeah, really interesting movie with the other character trying to weasel his way into their life and it just being a very kind of unnerving and awkward movie that works very, very well. 14, Superman. Reload the gun, cock the gun. What I'm just kidding around, but James Gunn, I think works really well here. Like I said earlier, Guardians of the Galaxy movies are my favorite Marvel ones. So it was interesting to see, okay, you take that ragtag team make it work. What do you do with the superhero, Superman? And I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a really fun time. I thought the action of it was all really great. Making Superman this hopeful character as he's supposed to be works very well. So I'm really excited for the future of the DCU, and hope to see more stuff that's as good as Superman. 13 Lurker, one that I wasn't really ever planning to watch, and then I just kind of saw it. When I had downloaded a free trial of movie to watch, The Mastermind, I saw Lurker on there. It's like, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. Happy I did. This and Twinless are like long lost brothers, maybe even long lost twins. Um, but kind of about just twinked up white boys trying to sneak their way into lives of other people. I don't know why, but apparently the two movies that have that plot line this year worked really well for me. This one just interesting of how the guy who's trying to work his way into the inner circle of this music star, he's just a little grimy little freak, complimentary in this. It acts it very well, and it's just really uncomfortable at times, but in a good way that makes you like tensed up and makes you engaged with the movie. So it worked very well for me. Number 12, K-pop Demon Hunters. What did I say about music helping raise these movies for me? This movie's got bangers, man. Um, and also, I really enjoyed it. Sony Animation killing it recently with this and the Spider-Man movies. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to say. I mean, you've probably heard of K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot about it. Obviously, the music is unreal. I really did enjoy the original story with this too. And while you'll see in the next one here, it's not my highest rated animated movie of the year. I hope it wins the award at the Oscars to kind of keep going with these original ideas. And I think it'd be cool to see this movie get celebrated. As I said though, I have Zootopia 2 at number 11, just ahead of it. Um, I really enjoyed this. I really liked the first Zootopia in part because the world building of it is so great. And I think this one here showed that when Disney Animation's on their A game, they still got it. I really enjoyed this. I think Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, the character dynamic is really well thought out, and kind of seeing that get explored more in this movie works really well. As I mentioned, just the world building of it all is really cool. So I really, really did enjoy my time with this movie. Moving into the top 10, I have Wake Up Dead Man. There's the other Josh O'Connor performance I mentioned earlier. We are buying his stock. He is unreal in this movie. I really enjoy these movies. Knives Out, the first one is still the best in my opinion, but this one is number two. I thought it was a really interesting way, kind of exploring religion and how that can be manipulated, but also how it can be a positive. And then also just, it's just a fun mystery thriller that you're gonna get with these Knives Out movies. And I think it works very well once again. Number nine, Hamnet. Um, this one might not work for some people if you're not willing to buy into the emotion and get behind these characters' motivations and whatnot, then it's not going to work for you. For me, I did. I was invested in these characters, so this movie is just devastating emotionally, um, especially towards the end of it. It's one of the better scenes of the year. Jessie Buckley gives one of, if not the best performance of the year in my mind. She is right now the runaway favorite for Best Actress. And I think that is valid because this movie is heartbreaking and in big part due to her as the lead character. Number eight, Eternity. I enjoy rom-coms quite a bit, and this one I think is one of the better ones I've seen in recent years. I think the performances in this are really great with Teller and Turner as the two um, husbands, and obviously Elizabeth Olsen as our main character. Um, and I just thought it worked really well. It might be a tad too long, maybe a bit. Maybe I'm overrating it a touch, but I had a really great time with this. I thought it was a lot of fun. Very interesting concept that I think works out very well. It's very funny and emotional too with the romance of it all. So I thought it worked on pretty much every aspect of the art. Number seven, a recent addition to the top 10, a late one. It was just an accident. Jafar Panahi. This movie is from Iran, I believe, uh, and then distributed through France because Jafar Panahi actually had to shoot this movie kind of on the run in guerrilla warfare style because he's like a fugitive and has been arrested in Iran many times. So uh, just knowing that is how this movie got created is very insane. This movie is just very well directed from him. That acted super well uh, as well. Very interesting, kind of. I don't know. This is a weird one to pin down what genre it is. It blends a lot of them very well. Thriller. It's a good character study, and the ending scene, two scenes in this movie are fantastic. There's kind of just a still image shot that is a long take of just the camera doesn't move and his character's going in and out. That works very well. And then just the way this movie ends, perfect. That's how movies should end. It really drives home, the point of it at the end. It works incredibly well. Six, I have Frankenstein. You know, this is again one of those ones where if you've seen like Frankenstein renditions over and over, because there's been a ton of them over the years, maybe you won't have as much excitement for this. Well, obviously, I know the story of Frankenstein. I've never been like super invested into it. So seeing this adaptation worked incredibly well, especially because it's Guillermo del Toro, who is awesome. I really enjoy his other stuff, and this movie looks incredible with all of its set design, its costumes, and its makeup and everything. And I also think the performances are very strong. Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein is good, but Jacob Elordi is fantastic as the monster itself. He just won the Critics' Choice Award, which is a shock, by the way. He was not expected to win at all, but I think it's pretty valid. He was unbelievable in this movie as the monster. I'm happy to see this movie getting the type of love that it has been because I enjoyed it a ton, and I was also very happy that I got to see it in theaters before it came on to Netflix. So I was lucky with that because I think that really enhanced the experience too. Top five time F1. Again, one of these ones where some people might not like it as much. I know hardcore F1 fans are like, actually, he'd get a ton of penalties. That's super unrealistic. It's like, yeah, dude, it's a movie. Buy in a little bit. I love F1. I love a different sports movie that has Brad Pitt, Moneyball. I love a different movie directed by Joseph Kosinski that has fast machines moving, Top Gun Maverick. Boom, boom, boom. Guess what? I love this movie. Aspects of all different movies that I love are things that I love coming together in this movie work super well for me. Again, yeah, or some of like as an F1 fan, or some of the stuff that Sonny Hayes does in this movie in the races completely illegal and he'd get penalty for. Sure, yes, I'm willing to suspend my belief but to enjoy the movie for what it is. And with that, it's a really great time. It's a fun time. I love I even just love the scenes which is montaging through races. I think that stuff's really interesting. The camera work with putting them in the cars, and even the visual effects, seeing how like it was basically they took like real life F1 clips and imposed all of this stuff from the Apex GP cars onto them in those scenes. Really cool. So I really enjoyed this sound design. Obviously, it's fun because it's F1 cars. So I had a great time with this movie and I loved it. Top four, number four, weapons. Just a really cool, original, interesting idea that was executed flawlessly. One of those ones where it keeps going and telling it from different points of view. This is one of those ways where it can work. House of Dynamite, take notes. You can follow different characters and converge at a point, and it can work if you build up the intrigue and keep the momentum going into each successive person. Um, just a really fun time. Like I said, super original idea. Coming up with that script, you got to be a bit of a psychopath, but I'm okay with it on this case because it made for a really good movie. I think the performances are very strong as well. And yeah, just overall, a really fun time at the theater. Really interesting one for me. So I have it at four. Moving to the top three, three five-star films I have rated this year. Very tough for me to decide between them, what the rating is, what the ranking was. I decided finally what I was going to go with. So for me at three, I have Sinners. Um, Sinners was number one for a long time on my list until the other ones came out, and I ended up deciding to go with Sinners at three in the end. Music, it's got good music. Boost up. It has the best scene of the year, bar none. The I lied to you scene, the dance with the devil scene, whatever you want to call it, in this movie, best scene of the year, without a doubt. Um, some great performances. It looks amazing. Um, I mean, part of what I love about this movie is there's just, I mean, a scene where it's just following a character walking throughout the town from one store to another just to get to talk to somebody else. And even that is super entertaining and just like seeing the world and living in it with that character. Really fun time. So I loved this movie. I loved all three of these movies that are in the top three. Obviously, as you can see by the rating. And I hope this is able to win some stuff at the Oscars for sure because it definitely deserves to be recognized in a big way. Ryan Coogler, keep cooking going forward, man, because he's a great director. At number two, however, Marty Supreme, the other Christmas Day movie I saw with my family. Man, I loved this one. I had a fantastic time watching this. Timothy Chalamet killing it in this role. Um, two actors on the screen right here with Timothy Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan just killed both of their roles in their movies. Chalamet though is basically on the screen for an entire 2.5 hours and just full throttle all the way through, having a really great time going after it, fully committing to this role. And I thought it was just a really, really entertaining time. This is my favorite score, musical score of the year. So again, it's gonna elevate it for me. The needle drops they had with some of the songs worked fantastic. And all the performances are really great here in the directing. I just was on the edge of my seat for every second of this movie, even if it is 2.5 hours. I was gripped by it and did not want it to stop. So, and the ping pong scenes themselves also are fantastic. It's a good sports movie as well. So, yeah, I really loved it. Unfortunately, just missed out on number one because after really thinking about it with all these three, I did stick with One Battle After Another as my favorite movie of the year. I mean, what is there to say? Everything about this is just awesome. 2 hours and 40 minutes of just adrenaline. The first 40 minutes, some people might not like as much just because it's kind of building up revolutionary stuff. I definitely think it's my least favorite part of the movie, but I still really enjoy it. Tiana Taylor's doing great work in that opening 40 minutes or so, and it really sets the stage for everything that's going to happen. And because of that, it's able to just be this insane adrenaline filled tense thriller all the way through and chase down till the end of the movie. Sean Penn gives maybe the best performance of the year. I'd probably say Timothy Chalamet or Jesse Buckley, but in terms of supporting performance, definitely in my opinion. DiCaprio's great, Jason Mindy's great, as I mentioned, Tiana Taylor's great in this. Even Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro, and not as big roles, but everyone in this is fantastic. Paul Thomas Anderson absolutely cooked with both the script and the directing here. The cinematography is awesome. The second best scene of the year is probably the car chase going up and down the hills right behind that I lied to you scene. Um, so yeah, I mean this movie is just awesome, start to end. And after really thinking it over, I decided that in the end I was going to go with One Battle After Another as my number one movie of the year. And I think that's probably going to get backed up by the Oscars with a Best Picture win. So I would be totally fine with that. I hope all three of these top three I have win something. I think they all will, and that'll be awesome because I think this is a really good year for movies as a whole. I think there's some really good top tier, top end ones. There's some stuff that I still want to see. A lot of the international movies that are distributed by Neon, I wasn't able to see because they were in the theater around me, which sucks. Neon theater companies, lock in, please. Let me see these movies in advance. Um, so yeah, so even stuff that I haven't seen that I know people really love will be up here. So overall, I think it was a pretty great year for movies. For me, these are the big three winners of the year. Um, and one after another. Marty Supreme, Sinners. If you got all three of those in a year, I think it's a pretty good year for movies. So anyway, that was my ranking of all 82 brand new 2025 released films I saw in the calendar year. Sorry I haven't been posting a lot recently. There's a lot of stuff I had to get done with class for the end of the semester, and I just kind of wasn't as motivated to film videos. So want to do the big ranking here at the end. Hopefully get back into doing videos again a little bit more. So if you enjoy these longer form rankings or even the short form quick reviews that are also in the shorts on my channel, consider subscribing. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you next time.